Hello and welcome to the pre-algebra week of May 10th recording for the week of, did I say March? I meant May. If I said March, I meant May. Maybe I did say May. May 10th. And we're going to go ahead and get started with a warm-up question that goes over and reviews what we focused on last week, which is finding the slope when we're given 2 points that the line passes through. So I do want you to make sure you've got your math notebook out, and in your math notebook I would like you to try this warm-up problem on your own. I would like you to try and find the slope of a line that passes through points A that has coordinates 2, -4, and point B which has coordinates 4, 1. So you will need to review the formula to find slope given 2 points. So go ahead and do this in your math notebook, and then when you're ready to check your work with mine, go ahead and click play. All right, so how do we find slope when we're given 2 points? We use the slope formula, and just think of slope equaling rise over run. It's going to equal the change in your vertical coordinates over the change in your horizontal coordinates. So slope is rise over run. So your vertical movement over your horizontal movement. And that will help you refer to and think about how to find slope, what the formula for slope is. So the formula to find slope, if we're given 2 points, is we're going to take the difference in our y coordinates. I always like to do the second y coordinate minus the first y coordinate. And then we're going to divide that over the change in your x coordinates, or the second x coordinate minus the first x coordinate. So let's go ahead and label the coordinates. So point A, we're going to call that our first coordinate. So this would be x1 and y1. And then B will be our second coordinate. So this is going to be our x2 and our y2. And that'll help us when we go to plug those into the formula. So first, let's do the y2 minus y1. So y2 is 1 and y1 is -4. So we would have 1 minus -4. Note there is a double negative there because that 4 is negative and we're subtracting the 2 coordinates. And then we're going to do the same thing for the x coordinates. x2 is 4 minus our x1, which is 2. So we would have 4 minus 2. So just check our work here really quick. Second coordinate, y coordinate on the top minus, so 1 minus -4, and then 4 minus 2. And let's go ahead and clean that up. So 1 minus -4, when we've got a double negative sandwich between two numbers, that becomes a positive. So 1 plus 5 is 4. 4 minus 2 is 2. So this would be our slope. And because there's no negative, that means overall this is going to give us a positive slope. It's going to give us a positive slope. So that means this line, as we read a graph from left to right, is going to be rising. It's going to be rising. It's going to give us a positive slope, increasing. The slope is increasing. I'm going to go on to the next slide, so if you need more time, go ahead and click pause. All right, so we are in the final countdown for school. There's only 2 weeks left, and there's only 12 school days left in the school year. So please make sure that you are working towards your goal grade, and make sure that if you are submitting, if you submit any late work, you have to message me. If you do not message me, there's a good chance your work will not get graded because Schoology doesn't let me know when work is turned in late. So you need to advocate for yourself and let me know when you submit late work. The other thing is that for redos, At this time, I am only accepting redos from the current unit. So we are working in Unit 11. So that means you should only be doing redos from Unit 11. That's been the course policy since day one, is that we only do redos for the current unit that we're working on. I will accept late work from any unit, but redos only from the current unit. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. Alrighty, so this week is really going to be the last math type things that we're going to be doing. So that's pretty exciting. The last week of school, you guys are going to be working on a portfolio type of an assignment. But this week, you guys are going to continue. We're going to continue with that theme that we started last week, where we want to be looking at how we use the math that we've been learning about in the real world, and taking a look at careers that use the math that we've been learning about in their everyday jobs, how they use it every day in their jobs. So we're going to start with Unit 11, Session 2, where we're going to review some ideas about slope and then see it used in people who build homes, and how slope is used for building homes. And then in Unit 11, Session 3, you guys are going to have a lot of different choice. In Unit 11, Session 3, I have included 10 different careers that use math every day in their careers, and there's a little video for each career that's less than 5 minutes long that explains how that person uses math every day in their career. So in Unit 11, Session 3, you will get to pick 2 careers out of the 10. And you will pick 2 different careers. Oops, I'm having a hard time writing today. I apologize. You're going to pick 2 careers out of the 10 and watch a short video and then answer a few questions on that career. So we'll end the year on something more fun and seeing how what we've been learning actually applies to the world around us. All right, so let's review some ideas about slope that you're going to be applying this week. So remember, slope is the amount of change from one place to another. It's a good way to think about slope, is the change from one place to another. And we can think of it as rise over run for slope. We have talked about how slope tells us how quickly a line is rising. So if a line is rising, it's going to have positive slope. Or how quick a line is falling, which would tell us that a slope has negative slope. Slope, again, we know how to calculate it given 2 points. And it's the vertical change over the horizontal change. So the vertical change always goes on top of our fraction when we write slope, and the horizontal change always goes on the bottom of our fraction when we talk about slope. All right, so this week I wanted to review the idea that we do have positive and negative slope. So if a line is increasing, just like we read a book from left to right, and if the line is increasing as we go from left to right, we would say that the slope is positive. Just want to make sure that we remember this. And then the opposite is true. If a line is decreasing as we read our graph from left to right, we would say that that slope has negative slope. It's negative slope. Okay, so this week we're going to focus on finding the slope from a graph. So last week we focused on how we find a slope if we're given 2 coordinates. And this week we are going to review how to find slope when we're given a graph. So to find slope from a graph, remember slope is the change. If we go back to what we talked about, slope is the amount of change from one place to another. It's the amount of change from one place to another. So to find slope from a graph, we're going to determine what is that change from one point on the graph to another point on the graph. So what I like to do when I find slope from a graph is find a place on the graph where it crosses, it has definite coordinates, 2 whole numbers. It crosses at a corner of a box, because that way it will give us a definite coordinate rather than choosing a point halfway between some boxes where we would really have to estimate what the coordinates are. So find a spot on the graph where it crosses in a corner, and we're going to mark that, and then I'm going to go up my line until I find another place on the line right there that it crosses through a corner. And now we are going to find the slope. So remember, the slope is rise over run, or vertical change over horizontal change. So how do we go from this point on our line to this point? Let's count our vertical change first. So how are we're going up 2 units. So we went up 2 units to get from one point to the next. We went up 2 units. So I'm going to put 2 for my vertical change, positive 2 because we're going up. And then what about the horizontal movement? Well, to get from this point to the next movement, we're moving how many units? Count the number of squares. We move 1, 2, 3. We're moving 3 units to the right. So I'm going to put 3 for my horizontal change, and I'm going to put it as positive because when we move to the right, that's going to be positive movement. If we move to the left, that would be negative movement. So the slope would be 2/3. So that was pretty easy to do. We just found our 2 points that are on the corners of boxes, and we counted the vertical change and the horizontal change. And that was our slope. If we wanted, we could find the coordinates of our 2 points. So 0, -1 was one coordinate, and the other coordinate that we used was 3, +1. And we could apply that to the slopes formula if we wanted. We could do what we did for the warm-up and apply the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus y2. But it's pretty easy just to count the horizontal and vertical change to get our slope pretty quickly. And then again, we should have 2 positive numbers because what kind of slope does this line have overall? Positive or negative? It has a positive slope, so that means that our slope should be 2 positive numbers, which it is. I'm going to go on to the next slide, so if you need more time to take notes here, go ahead and do so. And now I would like you to first tell me, what kind of slope does this graph have? Positive or negative slope? Positive or negative slope? Well, the line is decreasing as we look at it from left to right. So we would say that this line has negative slope. So keep that in mind. There should be one negative number when we determine the slope of this line. And now I want you to try and find the slope of this line. Again, using that same idea that slope is going to be vertical change or rise, vertical change or rise, we call that, over the horizontal change, which is that run. So I want you to try and find this on your own. So go ahead and click pause to try this on your own, and then when you're ready to check your work with mine, go ahead and click play. All right, so we want to find 2 places where the line intersects at a corner so that we have definite coordinates. So that's right here. There's one spot, and then I'm going to go down and find another spot. And let's find the slope between these 2 points. So our vertical change, to get from one point to another, we're going down 1, 2, 3 units. And we're going down, so it's going to be a -3. And then how many units do we need to go to the right? Just 1. We're going to the right 1. So we went down 3 and to the right 1. So that would be negative 3 over 1 would be our slope. And we can check that. Let's find 2 other points and check that and make sure. So I'm just going to go and find 2 other points where it crosses right here and right here. So our slope should be, to get from one point to another, we're going to go down 1, 2, 3 units and to the right 1. So that would give us negative 3, 1 as our slope. I'm going to go on to the next slide, so if you need more time, go ahead and click pause. And that's it. That's a wrap. So let me write down the key phrase assignment. So just a couple reminders before I give you the key phrase assignment. Please remember that you need to message me if you submit late work. If you do not message me, if you have late work, it may not get graded. And then if you are doing redos, you should only be doing redos from our current unit, which is unit 11. So the key phrase for this week is I want you to explain what the slope of a line will look like that has negative slope. So just tell me what the slope of if a line has negative slope, what will that line look like? And that's it. So have a wonderful week. Enjoy this week's assignments. And as always, let me know if you have any questions, and have a wonderful rest of your week.